Okay, we are here with Mr. Matt Chapman, MittMaster Extraordinaire. So how are we doing, sir? Are we all good?
I'm very good, very bored. How are you doing?
Very bored, yeah. I think that's the general consensus around the country at the moment, isn't it? We are now getting a little bit bored and a little bit sick of it.
What of it? 6-7 weeks locked indoors. Yeah,
It's into the sixth week now, I think, isn't it? Yeah. It's
first,
gone slow, but it's gone quick as well.
That's it.
It's all a bit of a weird
I think
dynamic for everyone,
go quite quickly, but the days go kind of slow, don't they? And they drag.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, oh, we're on Friday again. Like, where did this week go? What's happened? But yeah, if it goes quickly, then hopefully it will be out of it again quickly at some point.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. Yeah, but it's an interesting time for the industry, obviously, because
that's why. Yeah, that's why we thought we'd get you on today and obviously talk a little bit online, because that is the way things seem to be going definitely at the moment and for the foreseeable future. And probably you're the man best to talk to, I'd imagine, about going online and making a big success of it.
Well, I've been doing it for a few years now. Obviously, this whole pandemic, no one anticipated it, did it? It just came out of, there are a few people ill in China, and then 2 months later, the rest of us all.
The rest of the world caught up. Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's crazy, and I never anticipated that online. This would be the way that martial artists would get into doing online. As a result of some sort of terrible virus, but it seems to be that way. And I think I've been banging on about teaching online for years now, as you know.
I was going to say,
trying to encourage instructors and trying to get them to do it. And I've met a lot of resistance from people. People are like, well, you can't learn martial arts online, and I don't like doing the online stuff, and you can't develop as a martial artist and all of this sort of stuff. And funnily enough, as soon as the pandemic hit and everyone had to shut their schools, all these people were then online. So it's like, what are you talking about? So, I mean, that's a good thing. It's made martial artists realize that the online is legitimate and that you can actually teach people, help people, and learn through online resources. But it's a bit of a shame it took this level of, destruction to get them to figure it out. But I'm glad they have. And now, you're doing it online. All the instructors that I know are now teaching classes online. There's a few things they're struggling with, but they're getting it and they're learning, which is positive.
It's a steep learning curve for some, definitely. Some of, especially the ones that are in a bit of an old school traditional mindset, I suppose, of like the dojo is the place that we train, nothing else, that's it. And then suddenly, like the bricks and mortar kind of academy, the dojo. Been kind of, the rug's been pulled from the feet for many of people, for quite a few people, hasn't it? And it's been like, well, you need to have something, or otherwise we don't know how long this is going to go on for. No, obviously we're all hoping it's the peak, and
but what might happen is obviously a second wave, or it might be that this thing just comes back every sort of 6 months and we have to lock down again and release and lock down and release, or that it mutates and we get a worse version of it, and then it's it's scary.
So happy Friday, guys.
Yeah. Or it just might all disappear and we can
we go. Yeah.
But I think it's important for instructors to realize that that mental shift of, oh, actually, look, you can teach online. Is it as good as being in a dojo face to face with a student? Well, obviously not, but it's the next best thing, for them to continue learning it and develop. So I've been encouraging instructors for a long time to do this. I'm a bit sad it took this for them to actually work it out and do it, but it's required. So
definitely, yeah. As you said, you've been talking about it for years now, haven't you? And how long's MittMaster been kind of active, operating?
7 years. But I don't count the first year because I didn't know what I was doing. I was
okay, so it took the year to work it out.
So I say 6 years.
Okay, 6 years.
Yeah, technically 7 years. And it built up over a series of years. So it started really slow. It took me a whole year, 365 days to sell my first product, which was like a DVD. And that was priced at £7.99. So it wasn't like it's expensive. Yeah. And it took me a year to get to the point where someone actually bought it, which was, it's a long time, isn't it, to go without making any sales and making any money. But I persevered. Martial arts is obviously good about discipline and perseverance. I just kept working at it, hustling, putting content out there, marketing, and eventually I made one sale, being £7.99.
Yes.
I was like, yes. And it's actually weird. That first sale meant a lot to me because it was like proof that what I was doing could work. If one person, see, my my way of looking at it is, if one person will buy it, there'll be other people who buy it. So built it up over a few years, and it got to the point where it's making as much money as I was taking from my martial arts school at that time. So I was like, well, what do I do? Do I like keep them both going together, or do I just do the online or just do the martial arts?
Yeah.
With running a full-time school, I've been running a full-time school for about 19 years at that point. And to be honest, I was burnt out. I was tired. I was moody. I was irritable. I wasn't relating well to the other staff and to the customers. I'd had enough, basically. And because it's my only source of income at that time, running the school, doing private lessons and that type of stuff, I just kept plodding on.
Yeah.
Like a lot of instructors do, right? You know, it's their only way of making money, and they're like, well, I've got to go and teach, you know. So luckily the online came along. I made enough money to just jump. So I basically sold my school to my business partner, James, left one day, and just went online from that point on. And it's been fantastic for me so far.
Good, yeah. Like, you kind of touched upon it a little bit already, but I think your background in martial arts is one of the most unique I've seen, maybe, just in terms of what you've trained in and so many different things. And then also kind of your mentality a little bit is, I want to say, different, because you competed in MMA, yeah? You competed competitively in MMA, you retired undefeated, but I think I've heard you say before in interviews and things, you just didn't enjoy fighting.
No.
Is that true to say? Or?
Yeah, but it didn't have any sort of emotional reward for me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the training leading up to the fight, kind of weirdly.
Yeah, that's like the switch from what I've heard before with people. They hated the fight camps and they hated the training, but they liked the fight and the buzz that you got after.
Yeah, weird, eh? So I used to get in the cage, fight, win, and then there'd be like nothing. No, like, you see
no elation whatsoever.
No sort of change in state, and I'd be like, well, I'm gonna have a beer. So I just go and have a beer after. I don't really think you can then justify spending 6 to 8 weeks training hard, spending money on coaches, etc., and, you know, put your body and brain in the firing line if you're not getting some sort of either, you know, financial reward. And back then you probably got 200 quid a fight, or, you know, some sort of emotional reward. Now, if I loved it and I got the buzz that I see other fighters get, I would have kept doing it. But I just it just didn't do it for me. I prefer teaching people, to be honest. I like helping people, teaching people. That's what really makes me happy. So I do that instead. But, you know, I understand. To be honest, I'm probably not a fighter per se. That's not really my personality. My personality is more of a teacher. Okay. So I just followed what I wanted to do. I'm glad I did the fighting, though, because it kind of leads a little bit of credibility to what you've done, because you've actually stepped in there and done it. But then there's fantastic world-class coaches like Greg Jackson, for example, who's never competed, as far as I know, in MMA, but teaches the elite. So, you know, it's not necessary, but it just kind of makes me feel good that I've done it. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy it.
Fair enough. Yeah, good. Yeah. So the other kind of unique aspect then, I suppose, people when they start out and they start teaching martial arts, usually they start maybe school halls, sports centers, things like that, and the dream, maybe the pinnacle, is like, oh, we've got our own dojo, we've got our own academy, amazing, I've got all these hundreds of students that are just coming to my academy that's decked out, that's amazing, that's cool, I'm living the dream of 9 to 5 teaching martial arts.
Yes.
You did that and went there.
That's my fault. That wasn't that dream, I think, is really valid for a lot of martial arts instructors. The problem I had was I was a control freak. Okay. So I would try to control every single element of that sort of business and running the school. I was teaching too many private lessons to too many fighters, so I was getting beaten up a lot, which tired me out. And then obviously teaching classes as well. So I was kind of teaching probably during my peak 8, maybe 9, 10 hours a day. Okay. Which include maybe 5 hours of privates with like athletic dudes who are trying to smash my face in. So that was my fault. I should have been a bit smarter and not done so many privates and found other ways to get the extra income, because then I would have had more energy for teaching. Maybe I should have delegated a lot more in my school and let people take more responsibility. But because I was a control freak, I was trying to control everything, which meant I had to do everything. So I was doing too much of that. So I think if I'd probably managed my energy better and not being such a control freak idiot, I probably might have kept the school going as a, you know, that was running and also the online was running. For most instructors, I don't recommend doing what I did, which was to ditch the whole teaching in a school thing because it was stressing me out. I recommend having obviously the physical school and an online school running together at the same time. It's the best for most instructors.
Perfect. Yeah.
Obviously, right now you can only have an online school, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think this is a good wake-up call then for the industry?
It
When
is
we get
definitely,
back to hopefully some semblance of normality at some point.
yeah, I think it's needed. I think we got complacent, right? We were like all the people going, well, martial arts online is a load of rubbish. People teaching stuff that, you know, you can't really learn, and then suddenly that's the only way. So what you're going to do, you're not going to teach for the next 6, 8, 12 weeks because your principals tell you that you can't learn martial arts online, or you're actually going to adapt to what's happening in the world and still serve your students and still offer them fantastic tuition, but it's online. You know, it's not as good as working physically with a student where you can move them around and, you know, and interact with them, but it's the next best thing. And also, you know, the problem with martial arts schools I see is that they are location based. They're in a town, and that means you can only really help the 2,000, 3,000 people you got in your town. But with an online business, you can help thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people around the world because they don't need to be in your local town to learn from you. So I think if you're really passionate about teaching and really interested in sharing what you know and preserving your legacy, you should really consider online because it's the only way to do it, really.
Yeah, certainly. Cool. Yeah. So the first year, bit of a struggle with MittMaster. Then you made your £7. You made your £7 sale.
Oi, £7.99.
Sorry. £7.99. And then what? 6 years later on now, it's your full-time business. You're now teaching other martial artists how to teach their passion online, which is your. Is it a company? Is it like a?
Yeah, it's just the thing I did on the side because I wanted to help out other martial artists because they were struggling. Some of them were struggling with actually like running a school. Maybe it's not for them. Some of them were struggling with numbers. Like if you teach like an esoteric style, it's quite hard to get the numbers in. If you're teaching something like Silat, for example, or Capoeira or something like that, you're spending half your time trying to educate the general public about what the hell you're doing.
Sure.
So it's quite hard to build up a large school. But if you had an online presence, you can find all the people around the world who are interested in what you're doing and share content with them. So yeah, I just wanted to help out instructors. I speak to a lot of instructors who are like 60, 70 years old. They don't have any money saved. They don't have any pension. They don't have anything set up for when they retire, which means they're going to die. They're going to have to keep teaching until they die. And that right now, when we're young, sounds awesome. Yeah, die on the mat.
Yeah.
When you're 90, right? But it's not awesome when you're 90 and you're having to teach a 4-year-old class, you know, martial arts.
Not ideal, yeah.
You know, so I have a client who I've worked with, and he set up his online courses. He's making money from his online courses, but he's just putting that all away. That's like his pension. That's like his savings for when he retires. He's just putting, you know, the extra 500, 600, £1,000 he's making a month. He's just putting it away. You know, in 30 years, he's going to have a nice little pot there. So, yeah, I think it's needed. And I just wanted to help instructors get there as quickly as possible without having to do what I did, which was, you know, figure it out very slowly, very mechanically, and a lot of pain and a lot of mistakes along the way. Just give them a bit of a shortcut, a bit of a route to learning how to teach online.
Definitely, yeah, that's perfect. So obviously you do this quite a lot, and you've really come to the forefront, I suppose, in terms of the martial arts industry recently, because people have been having to move online. And I think it's awesome what you're doing. Like, you're helping out so many people, I think. And I think everyone, including myself, is really grateful for that, and just the support, the guidance, the help, etc., that you give him.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of what's the word? Reluctance as well on individuals' part to go online. Firstly, there's the one that we've already talked about, people having a bit of reluctance of going, well, it's online, what can you do online? I'm old school, we need to get to the dojo, blah. But obviously at the moment, that's not an option.
No.
There's also also issues with people thinking, maybe am I good enough?
Yeah.
And putting myself on camera and putting myself out to the world, and what if it comes back and you just go, nah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it might happen, but the fact that, here's the thing I say to instructors, you're already teaching people in your town. So you're good enough to teach people in your town, but you obviously don't feel like you're good enough to teach people around the world.
Yeah.
For some reason, we compare ourselves with other like instructors, and like they might be what we consider world class, and we compare ourselves to them. But it's about what you personally can give to your students, online and offline, your personal journey, the sacrifices you've made, the story of how you got to where you are, your unique teaching style, your methods, your tips, the things that only you have learned. That's what you're selling online. It's not necessarily, you know, the particular style. It's how you present that style. So I think there's room for everyone online. You look at BJJ, for example. I mean, how many online programs are there in BJJ?
Wow. Yeah, loads.
They're way ahead of the curve anyway. So they've, you know, there's probably thousands of online courses that you can do in BJJ, but people find their own little niche, their own little speciality, their own little area that, you know, that they're known for, and people gravitate towards that person. So like Eddie Bravo, for example, you know, he's been doing the online for a long time. He's really famous for the rubber guard and the no-gi system and all of that sort of stuff. That's his niche. No-gi, BJJ, you know, with the twister, the rubber guard, and all these really exotic sounding techniques. That's his area that he owns, right? He doesn't stray into wearing the gi or doing like worm guard like Keenan Cornelius does and all of that. So I think instructors can find their own little area and just go deep into it. For example, like I'm a fairly basic level grappler. I'm a purple belt. And not a very good purple belt, but I am in BJJ. I wouldn't release a program specifically on like grappling because that's not my passion truly, and it's not the area that I'm particularly skilled in. The thing I'm really good at is pads.
Yeah.
So that's where I went. So just look at yourself. Just consider what you think you're really good at, that you love teaching, that you love sharing, and that will be your first little product, and put it out there. You're not competing with the world-class people. You know, I'm not, you know, trying to be the best in the world at everything in martial arts. Just taking that one little section that I love and just running with it. So that's what I advise them to do. But it's difficult because it's a humility thing, which I like. But if you love what you do and you're good at it and you want to help people, you should share it with as many people as possible, and not just 200 people in your local town, in my opinion.
Definitely. I think the thing that you just said at the start of that, where they're already teaching, I think that's the main thing. Like if you're already teaching, you've already got a school, why not share that? There's obviously people that like the way that you teach it. Yeah. So I think that's definitely a really good thing to just do. And especially as we said at the moment, I don't think the martial arts industry will particularly go back to how it was, say 2-3 months ago, even for a long time, if ever, really. So I think people really need to get onto the online thing and start seriously considering it. And this is your opportunity really to give people a kick up the arse, maybe, that are watching this and they're going, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow.
There's 3 things that generally stop instructors getting started. Their fear of technology. Yeah. So they're like, I can't work out how to use Facebook. I can't work out how to create an online course. And I'm like, bullshit. Because yesterday I was online with Bob Breen doing a Skype or Zoom call with him, and he's 70 and he's been in martial arts his entire life, 50, 60 years. You know, he's one of the first karateka in the UK, one of the first JKD guys in Europe.
Yeah, we've got him on in a couple of weeks actually, so that'd be good. Yeah.
Cool. And he was doing Facebook ads with me at 70, like working out how to create a Facebook ad and put it out there, and working out how to create a course and put it out there. So if he can do it at 70, anyone younger than him should be doing it as well. It's an excuse, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, I don't understand technology. Well, here's the thing: you can learn, or you can pay someone to put it together for you. You know, you've got 2 choices. The second fear that they have is they have the fear of trolls. So the fear of people saying mean things about them on the internet. I found like martial artists are a bunch of sensitive people. We're really sensitive.
We're sensitive souls.
Yeah, but we're meant to be like rough, tough badasses, and then someone says, your front kick's rubbish on a YouTube thing, and that's it. They have a meltdown and they can't delete it anymore. So I'm like, look, what does it matter if some person from out in Mongolia says that they don't like your technique on a YouTube video? You don't know them, they don't know you. How can that possibly have any sort of effect on you? I'm quite thick-skinned though, so it doesn't really affect me. Have you ever encountered that? Does that?
No, not really. I haven't put too much of my stuff out there yet, to be honest with you.
Right.
So it's just because I don't really know much about technology. I'm scared of the trolls. But I will be putting out there now. Yeah.
Would you get annoyed if someone said, "What are you teaching? What a load of junk"?
No, because like I said, we're already teaching, and yeah, so no, you're already teaching, so just do your thing. And I think it's very easy to sit back and keyboard warrior, which half of these people are. Half of these people that do say stuff have never actually done a day's training in their lives.
No, and
they still live with their mum and.
Yeah, exactly. What you can do is, obviously, if someone says something negative on your post, you can click on their link and find them and just check them out. Unless they're like equal to you in having 10, 20, 30 years martial arts experience, I wouldn't listen to a word they say. No, but I just don't bother. I just ban and delete people left, right, and center. So they have a fear of technology, a fear of trolls, and the third fear I would say is, what if it doesn't work? Like, you spend the time creating this amazing online course and you put it out there and then you make 0 sales. And so far, of all the clients I've worked with, that's not happened. They all make sales, and some make more sales than others, generally based on how willing they are to put marketing material out there and create content and get people engaged. But if you're smart, if you film it in a way you can reuse it, even if you film it, and make an external course and it doesn't go well, or as well as you'd like, you can then offer it to your students as a free training resource or as a bonus or something you can sell to your students. So to me, there's no real way of losing doing this. You might spend a bit of time creating the course, I understand. You might have to learn how to use Facebook. Bummer, what a shame. You might have to actually put yourself out there a little bit, and trolls might say scary things, but the potential is to grow a business that could eventually bring you in. My best student just hit 50 grand in a year. Wow. From online courses, and I've had one who's done about 40 grand, 35, 40 grand over 2 years, and I've gone all the way down to people who've made 0. The ones who've made 0 are the ones who've never released a course because they're scared of the technology, they're scared of the trolls, they're worried about what happens if they don't make a sale. But if you create a course that's maybe 45 minutes long, you put it out there on the internet and you make a few sales, and you start to build up a bit of a fan base of people who like your stuff, then you create a bit of a bigger course, and you build up from that. So I think you just got to get started, put some stuff out there, see how it goes, see if people like it, and then if they do, start building more. But the big mistake that people make is they create like huge courses that take them 6 months to film. And I found the more time you invest in creating a course, the more worried you are about it not working out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if you spend 6 months filming, editing, planning, beautiful, amazing, the course is fantastic, then because you've invested so much time, energy, passion into it, then you're almost worried to launch it because you're not going to make 10, 15, 20 grand straight off the bat.
Yeah.
So I always advise nice short course, 45 minutes, bang it out there, 45 minutes of video content, for example, bang it out there, test it out, get some good feedback, make a bigger course, do it in steps.
Yeah. And does it have to be video courses?
You can make any type of course that you like. Some people prefer to write, so they'll make it more like an ebook or something like that. One of my first products was an ebook that did
99 ways to get a student. How to win your MMA fight, or
well, that was my third one.
Yeah, go.
The next one was 100 essential pad drills.
That's the one. Yeah.
So the book on like pad drills, and that's done great for me, and I still sell it to this day. But no, it doesn't have to be video, although video is obviously the easiest way to teach martial arts unless you can physically be with someone, because the book, you can't see the motion, you can't get an idea of speed, angle, and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, video preferably.
Do you think it's best to target then? So say you've made your course, your video course, for instance. You've got your 45 minutes of content. You've put it on. It's ready to go. Do you think it's best to target it to martial artists then? Do you think that's the best way, or do you target the general public? Or
if you're creating a martial arts course, it should be for martial artists, and probably martial artists roughly related to what you're teaching. I don't sell many pad courses to Aikido practitioners, apart from you, because they're not really hitting pads very much. So it's about what they call creating a niche, which is like a really narrow section of a particular market. So martial artists are a big market. It's hundreds of styles, hundreds of thousands, millions of practitioners. All I focused on is the niche, the little section that are interested in pads. So, kickboxers, MMA fighters, Sancho people, Taekwondo. So people who hit stuff on pads, that's my particular niche. So yeah, I think it's best to focus on a particular area and then go out a little bit from that area and create more courses that are a little bit more broad, and then go further out. And then eventually, yeah, you could create some sort of course for the general public. It's best to start with people who already, kind of relate to you, understand you, know you, like you, trust you, and are in the same boat. Because as martial artists, we're like obsessed weirdos.
Yeah,
to be honest, like we have a really irrational love of something that's really weird, like kicking and punching each other and choking each other and stabbing each other with sharp, pointy things. So because we have that obsession, we have that, we find other people who share that obsession. And you know what it's like when you get a bunch of martial artists together. It's like we're a little pack, aren't we? And we're all like chatting amongst ourselves and having a laugh. It's very cultish. It's very, insular. So yeah, just focused on creating products for people who are most like you, and then you're almost like guaranteed to make sales.
Perfect, yeah. And this is kind of another string to your bow then, I suppose. You've got the MittMaster, which is obviously doing amazing, but now you're helping people as well kind of go through the processes that you've just said about. So going through the technology, overcoming the troll, building, you basically, you take people from scratch, don't you? And go, this is every single step. So do you want to?
Yeah, well, the plan is obviously you start just planning out what types of products you want to create, and we have a kind of chat like we are about which area you're passionate about, which area you want to go into, what type of people are following you, the type of fans you're going to get. And then you start to, once you've got your plan all sorted, we start to build, and we use lots of different platforms that you can use to build online courses. Some are really cool, some are really expensive, some are really free, but I generally focus on the free ones because I know how tight martial artists are. So if I can allow them to create a free course, that makes them feel better.
That's a big tick in the box here.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's about launching, because the worst thing you can do is plan and build a course and then launch it on a rainy Tuesday, just randomly on your Facebook page, and no one knew it was coming, and they're not excited about it, and you haven't done any anticipation or build up. So then it's all about launching, which is a whole art in itself, just getting people excited about what's coming, getting them raving, kind of think of like a movie. There's a series of steps that they do to release a movie to get people all enthused about it. So we follow that process and get people excited, and then you do your launch. You'll make sales literally as soon as you put your course live. Within 2 minutes you make sales, which is nice. And then how many sales you make after that point of launching is about how good you are at marketing. So after that, we do a bit of training on marketing, putting stuff out there, getting people engaged, building up your tribe of loyal fans, and scale it from there.
Perfect. Sounds good. So yeah, so finally then, what do you think the future of the martial arts industry is going to be? We touched on it a little bit, but the C word of Corona and what's going to happen after this is past peak, has done something, we're not sure.
Well, I hope a lot of instructors, obviously there's a couple of things I'd like instructors to do. One is I think they need to upgrade their business skills, because a lot of instructors are just winging it and don't really understand business or marketing really. I understand they're teaching their passion, they're sharing what they love, but they don't really have solid business and marketing skills behind them, so they might struggle, especially if recession hits or something like that. So they need to be on that. I would like a lot, so upgrade their training and get more educated about what to do. There's lots of really good Facebook groups out there right now. I really recommend Gordon Bertram's one. He's really smart on all of that side of marketing and business. So check that out if you haven't. I think instructors need to save a percentage of what they make in the future for an emergency fund. So I'm a massive fan of having an emergency fund. An emergency fund is sort of 6 to 9 months worth of money that you've got saved in a savings account that you never touch. That's purely for emergencies such as virus, lockdown, end of can't make any money sort of stuff. I bet most martial artists don't have an emergency fund. Like, you just need to have, it's just so reassuring to have 6 to 9 months to 12 months worth of money just put away, so that you can pay your bills, at home, you can pay for your studio fees and everything, and it still will be there for you when you go back. Because living month to month during this type of situation must be super scary, right? So I'd like them to take maybe 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever they earn, they can spare, and put it in a bank account and just leave it, you know, and you don't buy a new car with it, and you don't go on holiday with it.
That's
you
the
don't
temptation,
go stupid. And just build up 5, 10, 15, 20 grand that's just there, just as a backup if you ever, you know, ever need it. So I think that is really, really important. Third thing I would say is they need to keep going with the online, because I know what's going to happen. The pandemic's going to drop down, lockdown's going to be released over a series of months once it's all hopefully, you know, gone away or been dealt with in some sort of magical scientific way. All the instructors who are teaching online are just going to stop. They're just going to go, back to class. I'm not doing that stuff anymore. There's no point. I didn't really enjoy it anyway. And that's a massive mistake, because, you know, you've overcome the hurdle and the fear and the barriers and everything, the excuses that you're telling yourself previously why you couldn't do it. And now you can do it, and you're doing, you know, you're probably getting quite good at teaching online now because you're doing it so much. So just keep it going, you know, just keep 1 or 2 classes a week, which are just online, that people can access if they're ill, if they're injured, if they're away, if they live in a foreign country, if they can't get childcare. Just keep that ticking over, because you can record it and use it for other things. And investigate the possibility, even if you don't necessarily do it, of creating online courses and content that you can sell to other people around the world. Because, for example, what I might think might happen with viruses in the future, or this particular pandemic, is maybe certain countries or regions might get shut down for a period if there's a spike, but other ones are open. So, for example, right now America is going
they're all drinking bleach.
Drinking bleach, and they're starting to ease up on the lockdown, right? It seems a little bit early, seeing as they've got so many people dying there. So I've focused a lot of my marketing budget now on America. So I'm spending more money doing Facebook ads in America, because they're starting to come out of this, and therefore people are spending money, and the martial arts instructors need information, so they're starting to buy courses and get ideas. So the advantage of that is, you know, if your town or your city or your country is locked down again for whatever reason, you can start selling in Australia, or you can start selling in, you know, America. So it's a way of protecting your business, protecting your livelihood, and protecting yourself. And I think instructors should get on it, especially now they've overcome all these silly hurdles, mental blocks, all this rubbish that they had in their head, and they're actually teaching online.
Excellent. Right. Well, thank you very much, as always, for your time. It's always good to chat to you.
Nice to see you. You're looking good.
Thank you. So it's been a pleasure. So thank you very much, Matt.
Thanks, dude. See you later. Bye, guys.